we were talking already about doing the shopping for the Christmas, and one thing which will feature largely in the Christmas menu is cheese. I'm pleased to say Elisabeth Ryan, she's the wholesale manager with Sheridans Cheesemongers, is with us in the studio. Afternoon, Elisabeth.
How are you doing, Sean?
Traditionally, I suppose people would only think of having cheese after the dinner, and that's about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can have it at other different times of the day. We have a couple of cheeses here that actually go as full courses by themselves if you want them to. But yeah, I mean, I would have mine after the dinner as well.
Full courses by themselves?
Full courses by themselves. One of the ones we were going to start with, I've bought a few cheeses along, is Mont d'Or. Now, I've bought this in its kind of slice form, but it actually comes in a 500 gram wooden tub.
It almost looks like a pie there.
Yes,
the way you,
a little slice of pie for you. But a lot of people bake it actually in its wooden tray straight in the oven. You put it in the oven for like 15 minutes. Put a little clove of garlic on top, a little splash of wine, maybe some thyme, bake it, and it's your own ready-made fondue, and away you go. So that could be a starter. Very nice. For example.
That's me eating. Sorry about that. You know, another thing as well that always strikes me about cheese is that what you have it on top of is very important.
Yeah, well, I brought along two types of crackers there. Now, I suppose in a very technical word, this very plain cracker here, which is Miller's Damsel Rye, and which is what you just had there, is quite a good one. It's thin, it doesn't have too much flavour, and so you actually get the flavour of the cheese. I mean, I suppose something like a Carr's cracker as well is ideal, where it's almost kind of a flavourless vessel. But I've also brought along some nice Irish ones here from Robert Ditty up in Castle Dawson, and they're really, really good. They're a little bit thicker, they're more like an oat cake, but just because they're Irish, I think it's nice to include them.
And how many people are making cheese? I suppose it's hard to know how many people are making cheese in Ireland.
Yeah, there's loads. In fact, there's just been a kind of a study being done at the moment about different Irish cheeses, and lots have come to my attention that I didn't know about before. But we stock a lot of Irish cheeses. We stock about, I suppose, 30 different types of Irish cheese.
And with the state, for people making cheese, is business relatively healthy? I suppose, you know, the recession's affecting everyone.
Yeah, well, you know, it's okay. I mean, what we found, I mean, obviously, like every other company, our sales are down. There's no point in saying that they're not. But our Irish cheese sales, in fact, are up, and that's a really positive thing, and we're really pleased about that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good that people are aware of that as well, to do that. Anyway, run us through some of the other cheeses that you brought in.
The Mont d'Or that I brought there, just to quickly say, is a seasonal raw cow's milk cheese, and it's from the Franche Comté region, and it's a sister cheese to a cheese which is very popular for us, which is Comté. I'll just give you a really quick little taste of that. I want to kind of go into the other cheeses.
All right, okay. And this is a harder cheese.
That's a harder cheese. So Comté is our most popular cheese, and where the Mont d'Or is made using only the winter milk, the Comté is made only using the summer milk when they're up in the high pastures. And
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
That's our bestseller, bar none.
That's really nice. Well, I suppose it's kind of vaguely cheddary, but it's a bit more. It's a bit more oomph to it.
As Kevin Sheridan would say, it's the French version of cheddar. That's their cheese they use on everything. So, I mean, what I kind of wanted to do was just do a really quick little run around 4 cheeses, which I would have on a Christmas cheese board, and I wanted to focus on the Irish ones. So the Mont d'Or was my Frenchie.
Yeah, okay.
And moving on then to a goat's cheese, which is nice to have. That's Clonmore there, and that's made down in Charleville. Really small production. In fact, in Sheridans, I think we buy pretty much everything that he makes. Lovely guy called Tom McGann who makes it, and it's really fantastic. It's a hard goat's milk cheese. A lot of people associate goat's milk with that really kind of bitter, hard taste, you know, and it comes from that commercial goat log that we all use that has its place, you know, in goat's log crostinis, etc. But there can be a much sweeter, milder version. This is a little bit like a Gouda almost. It's slightly sweet.
Yes. Well, actually, now say that one.
Do you like that?
And again, this is I suppose is a personal thing. I'd like to put something a little bit sweet on top of that to go with it.
Well, now, funny you should say.
You see what I mean? Because sometimes you want to have the cheese just by itself, and sometimes you want to have that little bit of that mixture there.
Putting gooey chutney all over his hands.
I'm just here to get fed. It's because I didn't have a chance to have lunch, so we said cheese lady's coming in. Fantastic. So short of actually feeding me physically, this is as good as it gets, really.
So this is I'm just putting with that Sheridan's chutney for cheese, which is something we've developed newly this year.
That's lovely.
Do you like it? A lady called Janet Drew down in Kilcool from Janet's Country Fair, she makes that, and she developed it with us. And basically what we wanted was something that was really soft, not too vinegary, because chutney by its nature doesn't go terribly old cheese. It's too much.
That's right, yeah.
So this is quite sweet, quite soft, just made with apples and plums, and it's been going really well for us, so we're really pleased with it.
It's very nice indeed. Tony wants to know, has the cheese... Sorry, it's your new name now, your cheese lady.
Lovely.
Have you ever heard of Osso Arati cheese? Ossau... Then another word, Arati, Iraty.
I have indeed. It's a sheep's milk cheese from the south of France.
Right. Is it possible to get it in this country? I assume that's why he's asking.
Yeah, well, I think it is. We used to do quite a lot of it, but then since then we we replaced it a little bit. It's a slightly more kind of commercial cheese. We've replaced that with one called Brebis d'Osso, which we get direct from this affineur down in southwest France, outside Pau, called Gabriel Bachelet. So you can get it in Sheridans shops and in some of our wholesale customers. A Brebis d'Osso.
Deirdre wants to know, there's an argument at my in-laws' house every Christmas as to when to serve cheese, before or after dessert. I'd always served it after the dessert, but they insist on before dessert.
Yeah, that's a funny one. It's really a personal preference. I suppose as a cheesemonger by nature, I tend to want to serve it before dessert, just purely because after dessert, everybody's belts are stretched to the point where there's just no more room for the cheese. So, but it kind of depends how much time you have. If you have loads of time, I think after dessert would be really good. But it is a personal choice. It's very much a personal
There's
thing.
no set rule about it. No. Nobody'd be scandalised.
Well, people would say, I think the French might say something different, but for me, whatever.
Just have it whenever you want it.
Yeah.
Have it for breakfast.
This is
anyway, let's move on to a couple more. Yeah.
So this next one here is Durst, which is one of our favourite cheeses in Sheridan's. This is made by Jeff Gill. Sorry, I'll let you break it off.
Durst is also one of my favourite parts of the country as well.
There you go, just near Comkeen and Bantry. And it's fantastic. It's a washed-rind raw cow's milk cheese, so it's not pasteurised. And it's got an awful lot of depth of flavour. There's lots of kind of mushroomy notes and...
How do they... because it's funny, I was going to ask you about that, but people describe cheese sometimes the way they describe wine as well.
Absolutely. Well, my background is actually in wine, so I'm kind of using the same lexicon as it were. But yeah, you just have to find...
But how would they do that? Do they actually add in other ingredients to the cheese?
No, so what you'll find with this, it's a washed rind cheese, which means that the rind of the cheese has a bacteria on the outside called Brevibacterium linens, if we want to get very technical about it. And that tends to give you that damp, musty kind of celery, and I don't mean the vegetable.
Yes,
aroma.
I know what you mean. Yes, like it's been in a cellar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, if you're getting very into the whole thing of it, we'll say that cheeses take on aspects of the environment around them, and do you know what I mean? So if you're beside the sea, you might have a certain saltiness to the cheese that
and what it's kept in, will that make a difference the same way if a wine is kept in a certain sort of a barrel, it can affect it?
Most cheese does tend to be kept in kind of relatively cool environment, and the different levels of moisture will be very different for different types of cheese, but it'll be kind of a reasonably cool, dark place. But yeah, of course, if it's in a different vessel, it's going to...
And the longer, or does that vary from cheese to cheese, how long it's kept for before it's, brought out into the world?
For example, Cashel will be a good example of this, which we're going to move on to next. Softer cheeses tend to be in the weeks, maybe 4 to 8 weeks, whereas we have a couple of cheeses here. That Comte, for example, is aged for 16 months, the one that you tasted there.
Wow.
We have an older brother version of it, which is actually aged for 24 months. And what happens is it loses a lot of moisture and the flavours become condensed.
What's the longest? What would be really a long time?
Well, we kept one cheese for a really, really, really long time in our warehouse called Bitto, an Italian cheese, which does age for ages and ages and ages, but probably didn't age for maybe as long as we had it at the time.
Okay. All right, not that long then.
But, 3-4 years. We just opened a couple of wheels of Parmesan that were over 4 years old, and they were fantastic. Really, really good.
This is, and funny you should mention Parmesan. I have a problem with Parmesan. It's not that I dislike the taste, it's the smell of socks.
Yeah,
I can't go near. I can't go into a room where Parmesan has been spilled, sort of thing. Is that a problem for people, or is there a way to overcome that?
The kind of baby vomit aspect.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so tricky.
Okay, obviously the rhythm then. You would have to toughen up and be a man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Be a man about it.
Yeah, okay, all right. This is our final cheese now.
We will move swiftly on to Cashel Blue. Stilton, which I brought there, really traditional Christmas cheese. You can just have a really quick taste of that as well. But I was going to talk about Cashel Blue specifically because a lot of the Cashel that you'll get on the market is 8 to 10 weeks. Everybody's familiar with it, but it really is one of our absolute best cheeses in Ireland. It's cow's milk. It's made by the Grub family, and we select ours very specifically for a more mature style for older age, but also the wheels are selected for us. We work really closely with the guys, with Sarah Grubb and Sergio, Sarah Furno and Sergio Furno on the actual...
Their name is Grubb?
Yes, Grubb.
You could never have done anything else then, really, for a living.
Indeed. And they select wheels especially for us because we're looking for sweetness and a creaminess, and that's the quality that we're looking for, and that's quite different